Petronella, a 27-year-old teacher from Rotterdam, described in her diary how famine affected daily life. During the last winter of the war, the Hunger Winter as it was known, the Germans blockaded much of the Netherlands, cutting off food and fuel supplies in response to a Dutch rail strike intended to help the Allies. In her diary, she wrote, "Yesterday we kept some potatoes aside from the already insufficient afternoon meal. We ate them with a few bits of fried onion mixed in and a cup of soup at 5:30 in the evening before it got dark. I calculated that each of us could have one more slice of bread, which we kept until bedtime and had with a cup of tea. Otherwise it would have been too long until the next morning. I have a sore foot, a large blister. Dad can't get a hold of anything anymore. No vegetables, no onions. The potato man isn't even around." The Diary of Petronella continued to the end of the war in the Netherlands and included scenes of food drops by the Allies, as well as the arrival of American and Canadian troops in a liberated Rotterdam in May 1945. Anton, a 39-year-old teacher in Delft, wrote about how the war in the Netherlands ended on May 5, 1945. Canadian and German commanders reached an agreement that day on the capitulation of German forces, but Anton is among those who are slow to trust that the war is really over. He wrote in his diary, "It's real now though, and while I'm writing this I try to realize what it means, but it's so hard to put down into words. 5 years of having lived under the yoke of a ruthless enemy aren't erased in just a few moments. But what I can grasp is that soon there'll be food, there'll be gas, electricity, and water. There'll be fuel. Trains and trams will run again. Our men will return from G, where they have been living as forced laborers for years. Our prisoners of war and students will also return. I can walk down the street at any time, day or night. The blackout paper can be removed everywhere. I don't need to be frightened when a car's driving down the street. There'll be regular school and work hours again. All these things are running through my mind, not all at the same time, not one by one. Sometimes I become aware of a few of them, which remain for a moment, then recede until another one comes flashing through my brain." The diary of M.E. Versteeg captured the arrival of Allied forces in the city of Zwolle in mid-April 1945, several weeks before the capitulation of the German army in the Netherlands. Of the 7 diarists excerpted, only Miss Bohl, who was 103 and resides in Israel, is still alive. She was sent to a concentration camp during the war, but was one of a handful of prisoners in Bergen-Belsen who were traded for the release of German prisoners of war in Palestine during the war. Mr. Mechanicus was also put on a train to Bergen-Belsen. From there, he was transferred to Auschwitz, where he was shot on arrival on October 12, 1944. Mr. Krusinga survived the war and later lived in Friesenveen, a town in the Netherlands where he died on February 1, 1971, at the age of 75. Miss Van Louisen van Wielink became active in the resistance and is credited with saving the lives of 72 Jews. She, her husband, and son were arrested and imprisoned for this work, but survived the war. Archivists do not have a sense of what happened to the other diarists featured here, but they hope to keep their memories alive through their diaries.